Aileen Wuornos, I don't know how to say that actually, American Boogeywoman, stars Peyton List and was directed by Daniel Farrands. And I need to talk about this guy quick because he is now infamous for making some very trashy biopics, so to speak, / horror films based on real life events. And he started this, he started off his career by making documentaries about horror films like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, and they were actually very well critically acclaimed. They were actually very acclaimed. And then in 2014, he made the Amityville Horrors. I think that's what it's called, or the Amityville Murders or something like that. And I didn't watch it, but again, that one you can kind of give him a pass on. There have been a lot of Amityville movies, so that one you can give a pass. But then in 2018, he came out with The Haunting of Sharon Tate, and then in 2019, he came out with The Murder of Nicole Brown Simpson, which are two of the worst movies ever made. They are extremely trashy, extremely poorly shot, and extremely insensitive. And apparently Hollywood thought that was good, because he got 2 films this year, both of which had a very similar title. He had Ted Bundy, American Boogeyman, and then this, again, having a similar title. I didn't watch the Ted Bundy one. If I'm going to watch a Ted Bundy movie, I will stick with Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile, because that movie's awesome. And I will take Zac Efron, Jim Parsons, and Kaya Scodelario over a movie directed by Daniel fucking Farrands. So already we're off to a bad start with this, because it has a really poor director, and he also wrote the script for all of these, and it shows. And this is just as bad as the other ones. Like I said, I refused to watch the Ted Bundy one. I didn't see the Amityville Horrors, but I did see Sharon Tate and Nicole Brown Simpson, and they were truly awful. Like, if you watch Chris Stuckman reviews of them, he is 100% right in those. Those are horrible, trashy movies. And this is in the same vein. I don't think it's as offensive, but it's just as bad. Because everything in this movie is wrong. From the writing, to the direction, to the acting. Everything in this is wrong. And this becomes apparent very early on. Because what he did with The Murder of Nicole Brown Simpson is that he padded the movie out with a total of about 20 minutes of real-life news footage to pad the movie out to feature length. This film's an hour and 25, and not only does it feels much longer than it is an incredibly boring movie. It's also a very poorly done movie like I said, in every aspect. The script is atrocious, filled with cringy dialogue and plot holes, and this is based on a real event. How do you have plot holes in a movie that's based on real events? You have horrible directing that I'll get into later, laughably bad directing. The acting is awkward out of every single actor, and judging from all of these actors' IMDb pages, at least a few of them have done some critically acclaimed stuff. But it doesn't show here. It really doesn't. Every performance is terrible. All of them. The shot composition is atrocious, like I said, with the directing. Everything about the directing is wrong. From directing the actors to just the way the shots are laid out. Like, there's a particularly funny one near the end, which I'll talk about more in a bit. But this is awful. I can't even talk about this one too much because it is just so fucking bad. And obviously, I don't recommend this, so I'm just going to say that right off the bat, but I'm going to keep talking anyway. Every line in this movie is said so awkwardly out of every single one of these actors. Peyton List can be a really good actress. She was good in the Diary of a Wimpy Kid film. She was good at... I've seen her do stuff that she's actually really good in, but this... Not only is her fake accent atrocious and she can't keep it consistent, but every line sounds incredibly forced. She can't... Unlike something like My Friend Donald, this kind of has the same vein, where it's events before the big killing spree happens. Even though she does kill people in this, but her big killing spree happened in 1989 to 1990, and this movie takes place in 76. What the hell was that? don't know if you guys heard that. There's some, like, loud thing outside my door. Or, like, upstairs or something. I don't know what that was, but back to the point. This movie takes place over 10 years before that actually happens. And it's similar to My Friend Dahmer. But he doesn't kill anybody in My Friend Dahmer, but still. And that's another example of a Disney Channel, like, a former Disney Channel star who plays a serial killer in a biopic. And My Friend Dahmer, not only is it a much better film, it had a much better casting. Ross Lynch looked like Jeffrey Dahmer, especially when you give him the hair and the glasses. He looked identical, and even Lynch himself will tell you that. And his performance really shined through, because you can tell he was given good direction, and he knew what to do. Here, Liz seems extremely awkward in every motion, every line, and I'm not sure it's her fault. I can pin most of this on the director. Because because when you're an actor, you have to put a lot of trust in your director. And when your director is Daniel fucking Farrands, you are screwed. Because, again, another Disney Channel star who was in one of Daniel Farrands', I think it was Lindsay Lohan? Was it Lohan or was it Hilary Duff? I can't remember. It was one of the two. But they were in The Haunting of Sharon Tate, and their performance, while it was probably the best one in that movie, though that's not exactly an achievement, it's still not a good performance because the directing is amateurish. Everything about this movie is amateurish. Again, the shot layout is atrocious. There is a scene in the end where, I don't give a shit about spoilers in this because, honestly, I don't think anybody's even heard of this. I don't even know how I've heard of it, but she, like, hits somebody off of like a set of stairs, and the way the camera is shot is so fucking hilarious. I laughed, but I rewinded it multiple times to see that shot again because it was so it made me laugh so hard. It was the only time I laughed in this because it was so unintentionally funny. The rest of the movie is boring as fuck. Nothing happens in this movie. Literally until, like, the last 5 minutes. I mean, some, like, small things happen, but nothing really that noteworthy. Again, it's all just boring. This movie should not exist, especially now with Daniel Farrands at the helm. But the Hollywood needs to stop giving this guy projects, especially trashy biopics of events like this. This is horrible. And bringing back what I said about the Disney Channel actors is that, like, My Friend Dahmer was such a great film because it knew how to tell the story. It had competent directors, it had a competent director, competent writers, and very good actors. This one has good actors, I think. It doesn't shine through. You can tell you have a good actor when their performance shines through. That's probably the most blatantly obvious sentence you could say. I might as well just told you the sky is blue or my shirt is blue. But it's true. But when a good actor has a bad performance, that's a point where you start to point the finger at the director. Because in something like the Diary of a Wimpy Kid films, Peyton List does a very good job. But not only does her fake accent weigh her down, it is a terrible fake accent, but it's just, basically everything in this movie can be pinned on Daniel Farrands. The directing, the actors, because they're not given enough direction, the writing, everything is incompetent as fuck. This is one of the most incompetent films I have ever seen in my life. This is definitely one of the worst films of the year. It's probably not my least favorite of the year because, at least unlike The Murder of Nicole Brown Simpson or Haunting of Sharon Tate, it wasn't as offensive as those, but it was just as awful. And it didn't defend me personally, because I knew nothing about this person. I never saw the 2003 movie with Charlize Theron. I never saw that. I hadn't even heard of it until I saw this. But there were other movies that offended me this year, like Justice League and Space Jam 2. They offended me more, but this might take the third spot. This might beat out Tom and Jerry for the number 3 spot. We'll just have to see, but yeah, 0 out of 5. Not even a point. You know why? Because this movie, there's no point to this. There's no point in making this. There's no point in seeing it. do not give this movie attention. I know I'm technically giving it attention by reviewing it, but I'm telling you guys to avoid this movie like the plague. Thank you all so much for watching, and Hollywood, stop giving Daniel Farrands movies. Stop giving him projects. Kick his ass out.